Quality food, as you can see, that's why we are collecting the waste every Wednesday of the week. The people are complying to us. We also sensitize them by giving them flyers and free dustbins. That is the blue bin, so that they can put their waste inside. They're sorting out it here. They didn't mix it with the other trash. They separate it separately.
So after the waste is collected, what do they do with the waste?
Recycling center. When we collect these recyclables, we take them to the recycling center, further sort them into their various categories, and from there we sell them to interested companies and other people that they can use that in the factory to manufacture whatever they want to manufacture.
Creativity is something that God has blessed each and every one of us with. I'm sure you will agree with me. But there are some people who are just more creative than others. I mean, don't tell anyone, but truly I can't draw a straight line. But the architects out there, I'm sure they will ace that. Well, here is a report for you from Habiba Oladipo on a house that was built out of plastic bottles. Yes, I said plastic bottles.
Paipe community is no different from other communities that surround it. Its houses are constructed with traditional and modern materials. However, Paipe has one building that stands out. It is the bottle house. The bottle house is built with over 10,000 plastic bottles that would have otherwise ended up in a landfill, adding to the environmental degradation the world is trying to stem. Emmanuel Awonto Asugu is part of the engineering team that constructed the house. He says recycling PET bottles is part of global efforts to reduce plastic in the waste stream, especially the approximately 8 million metric tons of waste plastic that enters the Earth's ocean every year.
The lifespan of PET bottles is as long as 300 to 500 years. And what it means is it doesn't biodegrade. It doesn't get ruptured or spoiled until you physically, destroy it. So with that longevity, with that toughness, and we came up with this concept.
The research group for the bottle house comprised of staff and students from the Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, the Montfort University, and Plymouth University from the United Kingdom, who participated in the financing as well as the construction process.
We looked around and found an abundance of PET bottles. So we started looking into it and ran a number of tests on these bottles, and we found that they are very tough once you sand fill it and cork it.
Another unique feature of the bottle house is the cooling system.
For this middle wall, we have it filled with water, and the water is never going to diminish by evaporating. Why? Because we have corked it. So all of that property inside that PET bottles remains the way it is until somebody brings a knife or something to physically destroy it. This is the way it's going to be.
So you don't need a fan or AC here?
Oh yeah, you can see this. When we were outside, it was a bit scorching, but in here it's quite calm and cool.
Situated on a parcel of land donated by the community specifically for the project, the bottle house, which consists of 2 bedrooms, a kitchen and a toilet, costs 1.5 million naira to build. It is fitted with solar panels for electricity and overhead tank for water supply.
The idea was to give it back to the community so they can use it, and then we can come back and study how the building is being functional, to make the building self-sufficient. So we have water and you have electricity. Water, we had a water harvesting plan where when it rains, all the droplets are channeled through the gutters of the roof to a tank you'll find at the back. So from that tank, it is now piped into the kitchen and to the toilet. So that's how we harvest the water. Yeah, and then the idea for electricity was solar. So while in this house, your basic amenities, your water, your electricity is provided.
Upon completion, the house was handed over to the community, which the village head of Paipe, Yonana Danladi, is glad to receive.
We are surprised by the innovation of seeing a house built of water bottles and plastics right in our community for the first time. We will use it as a community clinic.
For the research team who worked on the bottle house, they intend to build more houses using recycled plastic bottles, thereby keeping the environment healthy.
God bless the hands that built that house out of plastic bottles. And all I can say is kudos to all the creatives out there. Well, we've learned a little more about recycling, and I know that you've learned the difference now between recycling and upcycling. So even if you're having a conversation about recycling, you can add your ideas too. Well, here is Kristen, who is going to tell us about how he recycles and how having a 9-to-5 does not prevent you from recycling.
Okay, Kristen, I'm social media manager and also a dental technologist. And I also have a passion towards solving the environmental issues, and that's why we actually went into recycling as a whole. We will say that recycling is of great benefit to the country Nigeria, since it's actually a fresh ground, and since materials can actually be manufactured from them. And just in the UK, they've actually started using recycled materials to make their roads, and it's more durable. So there are many benefits and many products that could be actually explored from recycling PET materials, PET bottles, and the like. So this passion actually came when we saw that Lagos was actually very, very dirty, and we came into Abuja. We saw some particular places, also being very dirty, dusty, littered anyhow, and it became a burden to us. How can we make Abuja not become like Lagos? How can we make Abuja to become, so clean, and also how can we make youth employed? And we came out with innovative solutions, technological solutions that can actually drive this. And we will say that we have, as we stand now, we have problems to actually solve the environmental issues, in Abuja. We have it, on ground, and we're actually looking at people to actually come in and partner with us, and we rub minds on how we could solve these challenges. We're seeing that we can actually make this work out, especially in our city called Abuja. And we are actually looking at how the government could actually, be part of this, how we could actually be engaging and seeing that this is actually thriving, this is actually the mainstay, and this can actually be productive, to our youth in Nigeria. Most of the challenges we have or are facing now, it's that of land, space to actually, set up. The problem of lands in Abuja is lands are actually very expensive. So it is here big and large amounts, always. We're also looking at startup capitals also for small recycling firms like us. The amounts we don't want to mention, but it's actually massive. And we are thinking of going, instead of importing from China, thinking of also manufacturing here in Nigeria. Why don't we patronize someone that's our own? With the same specifications we can manufacture in Nigeria. So we're coming with a lot of innovative ideas, on how this vision can be owned by Nigerians, for Nigerians, and can actually, also enable Nigerians, to become the best and to stand out as Africa's first recycling firm.
you're just joining us, this is still Window on Abuja on the Nigerian Television Authority, the NTA. I hope you enjoyed our quotes and learned even more on recycling. Now, Toyin went out to the streets of the FCT to find out what the residents had to say on recycling.
What it means to recycle is getting together all the things you have used, like plastic, like can, and bring them together and turning them into another new thing, instead of leaving them to degrade the environment and to litter the surrounding.
For me, recycling is taking waste products to where you can maybe turn into something else, make money from it, and get other products from it and all that.
No, I don't recycle, but I know a lot about recycling. I see some people pick these nylon bags, some of them pick scraps, especially accident vehicles. They pick it and load it into vehicles and take it to companies for them to melt and use for some other materials. I see people do it, but I don't do it.
For me, I don't really recycle because I think here in Nigeria, I don't so much believe in recycling. I don't see so, but for me, I don't see it work so much in Nigeria.
I don't recycle. I'm a computer engineer, but sometimes I can use some of those things. Maybe if I have to cut it and put it in somewhere, or if I have to use it for part of building, like all those rusted metals that can be used to do some craft work or design.
We wash these bottles because it helps us. When we wash, we supply people who sell palm oil and groundnut oil. Sometimes we sell to people who make kunu and zobo. We make sure we wash it clean because we also buy from them. And it also makes our customers happy when it's clean. The business is profitable and we get money for transport and other necessities. It will be helpful if the government can allow us to continue, as they blame us for littering the environment. But this work we do is very helpful in our homes.
A friend of mine in US sent an email to me that he traveled to China. When I asked him, what did you go and do in China? He said, we went to learn about recycling. I said, you in America, making millions of dollars. Then you are into management. He said that she discovered that in China, recycling is making wave. And I said, why don't you bring this kind of technology to Nigeria? He was laughing. They said, no, it's right to do it with Asian country. So since then, I begin to feel maybe perhaps recycling have some value.
I know yes, because even right now in my car, I take more bottled waters and all that. And what I do is I don't throw those bottled waters away. The empty bottles, plastic, I don't throw them away. As I speak with you now, my car is just across here. If you go into my boot, I have nothing less than 20 empty bottles of waters inside. But what I do normally is just when I pass along, I see those old women that are cleaning the road and all that. I discover they pick those things to make money. For me, just a way of giving them to also make money. That's what I do. I don't actually get money from them. I give them just to help them out to make money.
Reduce, reuse, and recycle. Those are the 3 R's that we should all live by. Well, water is something that we can recycle as well. I know that's surprising, but here are some tips for you on how you can recycle at home.
Recycling is simple and effective, and something the whole family can participate in. Here are some tips on how to recycle at home. Know what you can and cannot recycle.
Outrage as a Nigerian is allegedly burned to death in Rustenburg, South Africa.
When she loved me and I loved her.
Love in China, the love story of Nigerians in the diaspora. It's good to have you join us on the Diaspora, the program that brings you what's happening with Nigerians around the world. Welcome to the program. My name is Makut Simon Macham. Let's get straight to business. We begin with the efforts of Nigerians in the diaspora to contribute to economic development of Nigeria. And during the week, the IMF World Bank spring meetings held in Washington, D.C., the United States of America. My colleague Leah Katumba Batunde was in the United States, where a U.S.-Nigeria Investment Summit was organized at the Nigerian Mission in Washington, D.C. She sent in this report.
The Nigerian government has been keen on building a globally competitive economy with the much-needed resources and infrastructure to back it up after it emerged from a recession over a year ago. It is said that 1 in every 4 black persons is a Nigerian, and a large proportion of them are spread across the globe. Making Nigeria conducive for business is a necessity for the diaspora gathered here to rub minds with investors from other nations. The first ever summit did not get the expected takeoff.
We need to just look at those kinds of things that investors look at and have a very honest conversation, sector by sector, region by region, state by state. What do we need to do to make those areas attractive?
So the credit union is meant to harness the resources of the diasporas, and will apply it in a better way than doing it individually.
This is the time for us to invest in our country, because there is nowhere today that you can invest and make money like our own country.
The Economic Recovery and Growth Plan, ERGP, is gaining global support, and the summit unveiled Nigerian institutions with the opportunity to source for investors for the ambitious target, which aims to diversify the economy and create more opportunities for growth.
We have stabilized our political space, and we think we can build on that for greater good of our people and the world in general. So this is the time for people to look the way of Africa and the way of Nigeria, so that jointly we can make meaningful contributions to society.
Usually we are looking at the area of technology transfer, as the number of farmers that are being covered by Bank of Agriculture increases. There's need for us to automate our process. We are also looking at variety of inputs.
They're talking about pragmatic issues. They're not getting preoccupied with complaints or policy issues. And they're looking at B2B, business to business, and B2G, business to government transactions. So I find that this one is much more effective and robust than the typical Africa or Nigeria business conference.
Because most of the youth, it's not that they don't have something to do. Yeah, they have something to do, but they need support. How do you support them?
The summit is tagged Nigeria is open for business, and the Nigerian Embassy in Washington intends to make it an annual investment event.
Thank you very much, Leah. Now, still talking business and how Nigerians in the diaspora are reconnecting back home. We spoke with a Nigerian professor based in the United States, Michael Omiadi. He is a professor of business and management. He spoke to us on how best the Nigerian economy can be revamped, and indeed what Nigerians in the diaspora can do. Here is that interview.
We must begin to define whether we want a free market economy, total liberalization of the economy, according to the 21st century globalization economic process, or we want to go the other side. But to me, I'll say the best, because I'm a free market economist, I'll say liberalization of the economy, free market. We give us the fundamental pillar policy tools to now begin to draw our economy to a very important step and stage. For example, if we are able now to define that we are going to have a free market economy in our country, then we will begin to talk about common sense regulation. We will begin to talk about low taxes. We will begin to talk about standardization, which means we begin to understand that government has no business, because the reactionary process is when government has business in business, what you see is high regulation, stiff regulation. We have a lot of Nigerians who are outside the shores of this country with a lot of money that we want to come and invest in this country, but they want to invest on a free market stance. Okay? The other day, the presidency and the president and the vice president, we are talking about ease of doing business. They have to open it more. This has to be more open, very more. For example, we got to begin to tell the people how to behave. We are not going to be able to begin to support or give credence to bad behavior. Any bad behavior must be punished. That is how it is done across the world. That is how it is done everywhere in the world. If they want people from outside to come, one of the things they got to do is government got to be an independent observer, a referee, supporting business and supporting society, and must not come into business. Because if they come into business, it means stiff regulation. I need a permit to put Portakabin refinery here. Imagine if everybody comes in with a Portakabin refinery in each of the states. There will be no subsidy again on petroleum product. Our people will be producing petroleum. They will not import anymore. They will define the trend. But because government is always in business, putting these things on special lists, that is where you have the problem. The people now say, no, if they are still putting these things in special list, they are not, we're not going to come and do business here because we are not sure whether the place is safe to do business. I say, but if government comes and opens up, that is why I say total liberalization. Government says, come on, do business with us. Whatever you can do, do it, man. But we have our regulations, common sense regulations. If you come, if you are producing, say, petroleum products, this is our...
Welcome indeed to Saturday Sports Arena on the NTA Sports 24. And it would not be if we continue to just have these vague names of saying things are the outfits I want to use.
Quick Service, a program designed to bring you up to speed with happenings in Nigerian football leagues.
You're welcome to Corruption, the musical.